When I saw the email and I saw that you've been accepted, I read it like multiple times just to like see if this is actually true. And when I saw it, I was like, I silently was jumping for joy because I didn't want to like, Jesus, jumping for joy.
The genesis of the idea for the scholarship came from our president, Bill Berry. And the context was that we had student presentations after our global service learning programs.
We invite different faculty and staff. It's Sunday. It was Super Bowl Sunday. I have the if you know Dr. Berry, he loves football. And so he's sitting next to me and we're chatting and he's like, as he's hearing though the experiences of these students, that they're willing to go on and on around their time in Jamaica on a Sunday evening at 7:00. He's like, wow, this is really impactful. How are we also providing that same kind of impact for people there in Jamaica?
I had been involved in previous professional experiences in the notion of community engaged learning and community participant learning. And as I thought about it, I began to think that with our community in Jamaica, it was uneven. Sure, we came and we did things, but the truth is it felt a little bit like we were using that community for the benefit of our students, and I wasn't convinced that the community was getting as much out of it. And so it struck me that what's the one thing we can do that the community needs? We can provide an education for a member of the community. And so it just started with that idea that if you think about the notion of fair trade, our commodity in a trade is education. It's what we own, it's what we do, it's what we're good at. And so if we could bring our commodity to that community, wouldn't this be a stronger relationship? That was the conceptual piece of it. It is, this is what we have to provide.
It was a challenge. I felt for him more than anyone, because we would normally be having him arrive, going through an orientation, getting him adjusted to life on campus, and instead we were trying to help him understand, first of all, when to get a visa, what that was going to look like, when we'd be able to actually have him here, and still introduce him to the community, because the goal was to really integrate him into the SRU community with the American students, with the other international students. So doing that virtually was a challenge. I mean, even choosing the modality sometimes of how to do that. I reached out to him once and he was on his cell phone and he was just talking to me at a place of work.
Honestly, it was a bit challenging because at that time I was working at Grace, it's a food processing company. I was the warehouse clerk there. I was there checking off goods that come to the compound. I was there delivering containers, like 3-4 containers on a daily basis. I use my phone mostly because I'm always like on the go, up and down. So scheduling meetings, scheduling classes, I use my phone to notify myself that hey, it's time for class, it's time for this meeting.
It is wonderful to have Nybert here. Nybert, being who he is contagious, right? He's funny, he's charming, he's dedicated, he's focused, he's mature. So the students and the colleagues that surround him are benefiting from just knowing Nybert, right? As a person, as a human being. It brings an element of diversity that is really beneficial.
Nybert's experience and what he brings to this scholarship that is unique. His work as a Bonner Scholar also gets him out into the community. Rural Slippery Rock is predominantly white, homogeneous, heterosexual area. And so it is always a great idea to get someone involved in the community that is going to look for an exchange as opposed to a one-stop drop. Hey, I just saw you and he's gone. No, he's here for the time being and will be continuing to work in the surrounding community.
Having a Jamaican national with a different worldview, a different lived experience, that brings benefit. But the benefit in terms of like a learning strategy has not yet been fully realized because of COVID. We actually could not return to Jamaica last year. We have yet to do some virtual programming, which I hope we can do. That has been a result of COVID. But making the scholarship a strategy, an educational strategy, and that goes back to the mentoring, having students see Petersfield Galloway and see Nybert in that context is a wonderful example of civic leadership.
What it really comes down to is truly understanding the accounting of higher ed. Because as I said, on a balance sheet somewhere, Nybert is costing us a lot of money because at one spot we book his tuition and another spot we take out his tuition. So from an accountant standpoint, on paper, there's a big expense. When you're talking about out-of-pocket expenses, actual money spent, it's food, it's books, it's things like that. Those are the supports that actually, that Slippery Rock has to write a check to someone else for. So I think, again, on a small scale, it's possible for virtually any school to pilot 1 or 2 students. I do think it costs money once you get to scale, for all those reasons I said, because then you actually are adding seats to chairs, and you actually are scaling it up, and I think if someone were arguing with me about this, they'd say, that's true for the one, but then you're going to have the one student who you're scholarshiping for this, and the one student who you're scholarshiping for that, and $10,000 here and $10,000 there, that's real money because now you have to hire more faculty to teach all those people. They're correct.
Yeah.
And so to sustain and scale, I want endowment. To pilot, we can absorb it.
The motivation came from Mr. Matthias Brown. He's the facilitator of the Association of Club, which is now the Petersfield Galloway Benefit Society. And basically, I just want to make him proud. Achieving this scholarship is something that doesn't come. It comes once in a lifetime. So I just want to make the most of it. So I use him as one of my motivation in terms of making him proud. Making him happy. This is one of his goals. He wants, over the years of a member of our club to get the opportunity to study in the United States. And now, him living his dream, making it a reality, is one thing that I want to make it to be a success. So I use that as one of my motivation to achieve and make this possible.
Yeah.